Welcome everyone to Throwback Gaming's Our Life Beginnings and Always Let's Play Part 8 or Part 9, I'm not sure, I'm sorry. Anyways, last time we did the library DLC, which was nice. And we had a lot of fun doing that. And now it's time for us to do the ghost. I'm interested to see how this one turns out. I don't know if we're going to be investigating something like in a basement or attic, or we're telling ghost stories or what, but... Or maybe it's like a Halloween thing. No, because it's summertime, so I don't know. Well, let's jump in and find out, shall we? Ooh. The night was incredibly still. You really couldn't ignore how silent it was. It was almost eerie. You could even hear Lizzie snoring in the room next to you. Yeah, I hate going to sleep in the room's like super quiet and you can't hear anything. It's like too quiet, you know? I always like to turn my fan on just so that there's some noise, because too quiet just feels like something bad's gonna happen, like a horror movie. It was hard to believe how much of a blur today was. Summer sure did slip by right past you. You flick through the moments like pages in a scrapbook as you lay in your bed. The ones that stuck out all seemed to include your new neighbor Cove. It was funny how it had become such a big part of your life in such a short span of time. It is kind of interesting how that turns out, you know? How you meet someone new and then all of a sudden they become a big part of your life. You thought a lot about what adventures you and Cove could have tomorrow until sleep started to catch up with you. Then you heard something scraping against the window. I wonder if it's Cove. It wasn't that uncommon for the wind to push a tree branch against the glass. Summer breezes were the worst sometimes. But the more you tried to ignore it, the louder it seemed to get. It was like someone was trying to get your attention. You lifted your head out of your pillow to get a better look. Nothing was there. Nothing you could see, at least. You just went back to bed, it was only your imagination, or you had to investigate the mysterious sound. It's too creepy to ignore. Okay, first off, if this was a horror movie, if we go to investigate it, we're gonna die, but it's not a horror movie. So, let's go investigate. You practically jumped out of your bed and crept downstairs to go outside. Again, if this was a horror movie, we'd be dead now. Your moms were still awake. They stayed up so late, it seemed. Luckily, they were watching TV and didn't hear the soft click of the front door opening as you slipped past. Okay, first of all, this is bad. Again, another horror movie thing. Kid sneaks out without the parents knowing, even though they're up. You looked around the neighborhood for a few seconds, checking over each individual house. It seemed normal, but it didn't feel that way. You knew you weren't supposed to be out right now. It was exhilarating, it made you regret your decision, or it scared you. It probably would excite you because you're doing something you're not supposed to, but at the same time, it's probably scary. I think we're going to say it scared us. You didn't know what had come over you. If something bad happened, no one would know where you had gone, and the thought made your stomach tighten in fear. The ease in which you had slipped out only made you feel worse. Your moms did need to be vigilant because they had trusted you not to do exactly what you're doing. You should have went to your mom or your moms and told them what happened. Hey, it is Cope. Jamie? Look at him in his little sweater. That's cute. You twitched at the sudden call, immediately calming down upon seeing Cove walking up to you. It was strange and yet also completely normal to have him appear like this right now. What are you doing? I saw you standing around in the middle of the street from my window. You weren't sleeping either? Why not? Cove turned up his lips to smile, almost as if he were amused by the question. Because. Because why? Did you hear a weird noise? You should be in bed. Because what? Or I'm glad you're here. Let's ask him why. Because what? Because I wasn't. His tone was irritated now. That wasn't really fair, since he hadn't given you a proper answer the first time, or the second for that matter. Yeah, why aren't you sleeping? You weren't even in your house. Well, why weren't you sleeping? Tempting as it was to turn his technique back on him, you decided to lead by example and show him what a real answer looked like. Yeah, let's show him how to actually answer a question instead of I think it's Aristotle who answers a question with a question. There was a strange noise coming from outside. I came to check it out. You heard it too? Ah, see, we heard the same thing. Excuse me. Cove hesitated for a moment, looking down the street before his aquamarine eyes fell on you again. It's okay, buddy. Did it scare you? Oh, now he's not being all tough anymore. Yeah, no, or a little. We're gonna say yeah. I mean, we got out of bed because of it. Me too, but it's okay. Nothing's gonna happen. Again, if this was a horror movie, we'd both die because we left our house without our parents knowing, you know? You could see Cove was trying to be brave for your sake, and it made you feel a little bit better. That is so adorable. He's trying to be brave for us. I was kind of wondering if it was the wind, but what if it's not? What if it's a person? What if it's something that's not a person? What, like a ghost? The unsettling noise suddenly rushed through the air. Cove and you flinched. When there's something strange in the neighborhood, who do you call? Ghostbusters. It sounds even worse than before. I wonder what it could be. It's not the wind. And it's something outside. I don't know. I have no idea. It's not like it's storming or anything. I don't know. Maybe it's a bird or something. You were about to agree with him when the noise came yet again, tearing through the still night. The two of you rapidly looked around, trying to find the source, but to no avail. There was no sign of an answer to this puzzle. You thought that it could be anything. It had to be a ghost, or there's got to be a regular reason for it. There's got to be a regular reason for it. Not saying that ghosts aren't real, but I mean, this has probably got a logical explanation though. I don't think it's a ghost. It could be, but I don't think it is. He's so cute. You didn't believe in monsters or anything like that. Whatever it was making the noise, it was something real. Though, that didn't stop you from being scared. Lots of things that existed were frightening and dangerous. This is very true. You shuffled closer to Cove, trying to stop yourself from shaking at the bad thoughts that were entering your mind. Yeah, ghosts aren't real, right? I bet it's just a raccoon. That's a good... It could be a raccoon. It's a good guess, Cove. He tried to speak with certainty, despite not being fully convinced of what he was saying. Hey, can you tell where it's coming from? Then we'll have to look around more. Somewhere else. Maybe we'll see something. Okay, let's go. As you walked the familiar streets of your neighborhood, again, bad choice. Fear coursed through your veins. When your hand brushed against his, you realized that you hadn't been the only one who had tried to close the gap. Aw, that's adorable. Shadows cut corners and angles where you didn't expect them, distorting the features you saw every day. Things look a lot different tonight. The noise came again, shrill and hard. It set your teeth on edge the way it grounds its way through you. Cove's throat bobbed. His eyes glistened in the dim light. You stayed frozen to the spot. You took a deep breath to calm yourself, or you ran to hide behind Cove. Now, we're gonna take a deep breath. He was trying to be brave for us, so let's try to be brave for him now. You sucked in a lungful of cool night air, letting it slowly through your mouth. Your parents had mentioned that it was good for relaxing nerves. There was no question that you were afraid of whatever the noise might be, but it didn't want to stop you. Despite your fear, you had to be brave. Cove stepped in front of you to look at your face. He was serious. We can do it, Jamie. Aw, yes we can. He lifted his hand up for you to take. Aw, that's adorable. You accepted his hand, you didn't take his hand, or you gripped his arm instead. No, we're gonna hold his hand. That's so cute. I'm a sucker. You carefully slid your hand into his, and though your palms were clammy, you held tight. That's so cute. You couldn't explain why, but it made you feel stronger, and you felt like you were ready to continue on. Cove shut his eyes and pressed his lips together. Your fingers locked around each other even tighter. Where do you want to check? The park, the beach, or the hills behind my house? Let's stick with the hills, because we don't want to get too far from the house, because again, it shouldn't be out at night. You and Cove ascended the hill, lit only by the stars in the night sky. Hey, I bet that'd be a pretty view at night. The wind rippled through the grass and ruffled your hair. Without the sun's light to translate what you were seeing, every bush in the distance looked like a creepy figure or a towering monster. The noise was just as loud as here as it was in your neighborhood, with just a little indication behind what the cause. But you kept going forward, you ran away, or you snuck back to your neighborhood quietly. We should probably return, but let's keep going. You couldn't stop when you had already gone so far. You had to find out what was going on. The top of the hill was an excellent vantage point to survey the town from. Everything appeared normal. There was nothing out of place, pinpointing the answer to this mystery. Without visible markers to guide your way, you suppose it was up to you and Cove to deduce the source of the sound. The hill had many great hiding places, and you intended to check them all. You upturned rocks, peered up trees, and rummaged in thick grass for anything that might bring closure to all this. You stuck close to Cove as you hunted for the source of the noise. When the shrieking noise shook the air, seeing him beside you calmed your racing heart. Seeking to ease your nerves and put aside thoughts of what might be out in this dark, spooky night, you decided to strike up a conversation. Your search for a topic was more fruitful than your search for the noise. Your eyes fell on Cove's cast, and you were instantly inspired. I wonder if we're actually going to find out about the backstory to Cove's cast is today. On this night. Have you broken any other bones? That's probably a good thing. Oh. It turned out that wasn't much of an engaging topic for him after all. I broke my leg once. That's no good. My arm was broken before too. I've never broken any bone or I sprained my ankle before. I kind of like this answer, but I want to see what happens if we say we broke our arm too, to see if he says anything. Really? Mm-hmm. Before you moved here. Wow. We're the same that way. That put an end to your injury discussion, but Cove's calmer alleviated the bleak atmosphere you had hoped for. Well, that's good. Cove cast his eyes out into the darkness, feeling bolder. That's so cute. Does this make you feel strange? We were people who heard weird noises at night, and we're out looking for what it is. Again, if this was a horror movie, it'd be a horrible choice to go searching for whatever it is, because it just means you're going to die. It's like we're at the start of a book or a movie, and we're the main characters. Well, you kind of are. Yeah. But the good thing is, it's a horror story. Don't say that. It's an action story, it's a fantasy story, or it's a documentary. Let's say it's a fantasy story. The world they found outside looked like their own, but it wasn't. They had stepped into another dimension without even knowing. It's like, seriously? Yeah, it's a dimension where everyone has been cursed to sleep until the monster making the noise is defeated. How are we going to defeat the monster? We'll find magic swords that can defeat the dreaded beast with one blow. Seems like something out of Fire Emblem. Okay. Well, whatever the noise was, you were confident that you had established it was not coming from the hill. Once you were satisfied nothing out of the ordinary was found on the hill, you decided to consider your next step. You figured you'd check the park too, you figured you'd check the beach too, or let's head back. Let's go to the beach. The beach stretched out in front of you, nothing in sight along its sands, no matter which way you turned. Part of you imagined the noise some creature of the deep, washed up on the shore and calling for aid. That theory had been taken off the list for now. Nessie! Still, you had spent enough time on the shore to know that the real finds often required a sharp eye and careful attention. The sound was no more than a whimper now, which means they were probably farther away from it then. It's probably at the park. Emboldened, you kept your head high and walked along the sand. Let's see if there's anything here. Cove began to comb the beach for clues. You followed suit. The angry wind sent grains of sand rolling across the beach like waves. You stayed clear of water, which was rough and choppy tonight, and the source of area for hints as to what might be happening. You saw something glint in the sand, full of promise, but when you eagerly uncovered it, you found it was just foil from a chip packet. You stood away with a sigh. Excuse me. Did you find something? Just trash. Cove shrugged and gave you a sympathetic smile. That's how it goes sometimes. Ain't that the truth? You like hunting for treasures on the beach too, right? Heh, something else we have in common. Have you ever found anything mysterious or weird? You were expecting him to mull the question over for a bit, but Cove answered immediately. Teeth. What? Are you talking about human teeth? Like a shark's tooth? You've seen those for sale in shops, so you've never been lucky enough to stumble across one on the beach. No, not that. People teeth. Ugh, that's nasty. No. Yeah, you know how grown-ups sometimes don't have their own teeth any longer, and they get fake ones so they can still eat? You know I'm listening in a fascinating horror. This is why you brush your teeth, you floss your teeth, and all that good stuff, so you don't lose your teeth when you get older. I found some. The top half. Oh, you found denture. The top half of dentures or whatever. How you know it was the top half? It had a pink top. It had the pink top of the mouth bit, like this. He opened wide and pointed at the roof of his mouth. You let out a squeal. What did you do with them? Mom took them from me. I don't know what happened after that. It probably threw them away. That was... too bad. Think of the prank opportunities. No. The right thing to do. Yeah. Gross. Way stranger than the stuff I've seen, or still not as strange as some of the things I found. We'll just say it's way stranger. The weirdest thing I can remember was a key ring with Lizzie's name on it, but it wasn't actually hers. That's kind of funny. The coincidence made it much less special by the fact that it was actually Liz. A monkey your sister had never taken. Neat. Cole was still tickled by your discovery, even if you thought it wasn't as exciting as his. As you contemplated your options, it occurred to you that you hadn't heard the noise for a while. Cove, I think it's gone. Cove perked up at this. You watched as he listened for the scary sound that had become the background noise to your adventure. You're right. You both stood awkwardly in the now silent night. Without the mysterious call to lead you, there wasn't a reason to stay out here any longer. I wonder what would happen if we went to the park. I don't know. The night was still as you walked home, with none of its unusual background noises or eerie whistle from before. You could hear every step you and Cove made like a cough in a movie theater. The two of you came to a halt outside your front door. Never before had it looked so ominous. Now to sneak back inside. Do you sneak out a lot? This is my first time. Not really. Lots. You were lying. Or lots. You were telling the truth. Okay, this one's bad. This one's bad. This one's bad because you shouldn't be sneaking out. This one's bad because you're lying. We'll just say it's our first time because that seems like the case. Yeah, I've never tried to do it till now. Thought so. How'd you know? I haven't seen you out my window this late before. That was fair. Though it could have been possible you were just so good at sneaking out this was the first time he caught you. That's funny. Are you worried about getting caught? He probably does this all the time. Bad. He was so forthright that you believed him completely. But your dad, won't he get mad or sad if he catches you? He's never happy with what I do. Why do you say that? Oh. You sympathize, you encourage Cove to see it more positively, you stayed out of it, or you didn't know how to react to that. I don't know. This is kind of how I feel, but I don't know why he thinks that. I mean, his dad really cares about him. Maybe it's just because Cove doesn't act the way that his dad wants him to. I don't know. We'll sympathize. That must be hard. Yeah, he and Mom do what they want. Why shouldn't I? Because you're a kid. You have to behave, you know, do what you're told to. Even if you don't want to sometimes. As long as it's not something that's causing you harm, you know? But... Alright, I'm going in. Okay, good night. Good night, Cove. Thanks for coming with me tonight. I'm not sure I could have done it by myself. I wanted to go with you. Aw, that's adorable. You beamed at him. You turned the doorknob slowly as a clock's minute hand, holding your breath for the telltale click of the lock, then nudged open. When all that happened was the door opening rather than the blaring alarm she had feared, you melted with relief. Back into your house, you were surprised to find your mom still watching TV. Dang. Worse still, it looked like they were on the same show they were watching before you left. Yet you were positive you've been out investigating for hours. That's interesting. Unless it's like a rerun. Or a marathon. Perhaps you could use the distraction to your advantage. If you could just get up the stairs, you'd be safe from suspicion. But how could you get there? You tried to sneak past, you decided to walk in your own house nonchalantly, or you couldn't, you gave up and come clean. You know what? Let's be honest. This was way too stressful. After an already suspenseful night, you couldn't handle any extra tension. Moms? They looked up at your call, caught off guard. Jamie? They had abandoned the couch and their show to hurry over. They were still in a state of surprise. You weren't in trouble yet. What are you doing down here, sweetie? Did you have a bad dream? You told the truth, you lied, or you didn't answer. Okay, we already have them over here. We need to just tell them what happened. I mean, we're going to get in trouble because we went out, but it's better to tell them than to find out without us telling them. I went out to find out what was causing the noise. Time seemed to drag as the color drained from your mom's faces. Well, you should have told them before you try to leave, you know. Out where? Out of your bedroom? That's what you mean, right? Yeah, it's what you want to hear, right? You pointed to the front door, confirming their worst fears. Mommy remained frozen in shock while Mom launched into lecture mode. Jamie lass, it is not safe to be out at this time of night by yourself. If something was wrong, you should have come to us. I thought you knew better than that. I trusted you to know better than that. Anything could have happened to you. If we don't know where you are, it's a lot harder to keep you safe, which is very true. Her voice was soft, yet still cut deep. You pawed at the ground with your feet. What you were saying made sense. What they were saying made sense. It was scary. I didn't like being scared. I just wanted to see what was out there. Honey. Mommy wrapped her arms around you, cradling you the back of your head. You clung to her. You're brave for facing your fears, but you need to be smart too. Was it scary because it might be possible it was something dangerous, right? That kind of worry is something you should tell us about. Okay. Mom shook her head with a sigh. Let's get you back into bed where you belong. Right, and we'll have a talk about this in the morning. You pulled a face at that, but didn't protest. All things considered, they could have been much harder on you. Once your mom left, you turned over the night's adventure in your mind. It was still hard to believe you really done it. Sure, you were going to have a talk tomorrow, but it had been a night that you'll never forget, for better and worse. You hoped that Cove had gotten home okay. Though you hadn't been worried, being told off was never fun. Wiggling down deep underneath the covers, your thoughts turned to the unsolved mystery. You and Cove only just begun to scratch the surface of it. Maybe you solve it, and maybe you'd solve it, maybe you wouldn't. But what mattered was that you shared the experience with each other. You were still so energized with the night's excitement that you tossed and turned in bed for some time, thinking up theories to share with Cove when you next saw him. Sleep eventually claimed you, but the adventure merely resumed in your dreams. In the morning, the lecture continued, but ultimately your moms let you off with a warning. It had been pretty unusual circumstances after all. You later learned Cove didn't end up in trouble for the night escaping either. It was unclear whether it was because his dad chose not to punish him or if Cove got away with it. Because of those meddling kids. As for the sounds that started this all, the adults around were convinced it was nothing more than the wind. For your imaginative mind, that wasn't nearly enough. How could they accept something so simple so easily? Maybe it made more sense when you were grown up too. And that's it for Ghost. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, leave a like. Subscribe to the channel to know when new videos come out, and I'll see you next time when we do the barbecue. That should be fun. But until then, everyone, peace out.